Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. We continue to read from Caitanya Caritamrita Adi-Lila, chapter 7. We have been reading the purport of text 102. We have been reading, and then we were at the part of how to understand the absolute truth in full. So we were hearing that there are three types of transcendentalists. Those who have just a partial realization of the absolute truth as Brahman or Paramatma, or then the complete realization as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there are four different types of human beings: the karmis, the jnanis, the yogis, and the devotees. The karmis are materialistic, whereas the other three are transcendental. So karmis means they are not bothered to understand, I'm not the body, I'm spirit, or there is God. No, they're not interested at all to understand in spirit. They just think, I'm the body, let me enjoy as much as I can before I leave the body. Okay. Then the first class transcendentalists are the devotees who have realized the Supreme Person. So the first class transcendentalists, they are the devotees. Why? Because they've understood the absolute truth as he is, that he's a person. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The second class transcendentalists are those who have partially realized the plenary portion of the absolute person. So the second class are the yogis, those who have realized the Paramatma, those who have realized that because the Paramatma is also a form. No? The Paramatma is also a person. And the yogi has seen the form of the Paramatma in his heart. So, but although he has not completely understood the absolute truth is a person, I have a relationship with him, I can engage in that relationship, that realization he has not yet gotten. So he has just a partial realization that God is Paramatma. So he is called the second class transcendentalist. And the third class transcendentalists are those who have barely realized the spiritual focus of the absolute person. So the third class transcendentalists are because they're trying to understand, okay, there is matter and spirit, there is a difference, but they've not understood that in spirit there is difference. There is the supreme spirit, and then there is the individual spirit. So, as stated in the Bhagavad Gita and other Vedic literatures, the Supreme Person is realized by devotional service, which is backed by full knowledge and detachment from material association. So, God, Krishna, he says, one can know me only by devotional service. That's the way to know God. We cannot approach God by any other way. We can't, because he's completely spiritual. It's only when we begin hearing about him that we can understand him. Otherwise, we can't. If we say, I'm going to just sit and I'm going to think about God without hearing, well, our mind could think of anything. I might start thinking that I am God, or you are God, or the peacock is a God, because then I'm trusting my mind. So, we have already discussed the point that devotional service is followed by knowledge and detachment from material association. So that bhakti, when we engage in bhakti, then automatically we develop gyan and vairagya. Bhakti has to bring us gyan and vairagya. If it's not, means there is something wrong. We have to understand then, what am I doing wrong? As Brahman and Paramatma realization are imperfect realizations of the absolute truth. So the means of realizing Brahman and Paramatma, etc., that is, the paths of Gyan and Yoga are also imperfect means of realizing the absolute truth. So thinking that God is only light is not complete understanding of God. It's an imperfect understanding. Or understanding that God is only Paramatma is not a complete understanding of God. It's an imperfect understanding. So the process which I'm using to come to this conclusion is also imperfect. The process is imperfect, and that's the reason the conclusion that the process is giving me is imperfect, is not complete. Devotional service, which is based on the foreground of full knowledge, combined with detachment from material association, and which is fixed by dint of the oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti, is the only perfect method by which the seriously inquisitive student can realize the absolute truth. So if one is really serious, one is really sincere to understand the absolute truth, one really wants to understand self-realization, then he has to engage in devotional service, which begins by hearing from the Vedas. Oral reception of the Vedanta Shruti means hearing from Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. That's the only perfect method that we can understand the absolute truth. Devotional service is not therefore meant for the less intelligent class of Transcendentalists. So then we can understand by this that in fact, one has to be very intelligent to be engaging in devotional service. It is not for the less intelligent. Krishna says it himself in Bhagavad Gita that out of millions of people, there's only one who's going to try for perfection. And out of thousands of people who are trying for perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. So we can see what kind of intelligence is required to be able to engage in devotional service. And also in Srimad Bhagavatam, the prediction is there in the 11th canto that in Kali Yuga, the people who have intelligence will worship the Supreme Lord in his golden form, who's come along with his associates and his weapons, which is referring to Lord Chaitanya. Srimad Bhagavatam is giving that prediction, that people of intelligence only will be able to worship Lord Chaitanya. So there are three classes of devotees, namely first, second, and third class. So the devotees also have levels. It's not a matter of criticizing or discrimination. It is just a matter of understanding. Now, if somebody is in the second grade and you say tell him you're in the second grade, and if he says, oh, you're so mean to me, you're telling me in the second grade, but you're just saying the fact. You're not saying it out of spite. You're just saying it. So the devotees are also of three classes: the third class devotee, or the neophytes who have no knowledge and are not detached from material association, but who are simply attracted by the preliminary process of worshipping the deity in the temple, are called material devotees. So devotees who have just begun the process of Krishna consciousness, and they just think that God is only in the temple, God is in his deity form, and I need to worship God in the temple. And the third class devotee will be very attached still to material association. He does not have good knowledge of the scriptures. So they are called material devotees. Material devotees are more attached to material benefit than transcendental profit. So then the mindset of the devotee is that, let me engage in devotional service so I can get material benefits. I can get, maybe pious activity, maybe more enjoyment, maybe more sense gratification, like that. So therefore, one has to make definite progress from the position of material devotional service to the second class devotional position. So as we were just hearing in Srimad Bhagavatam, that devotional service in the modes of nature, from ignorance, passion, goodness, like that. So now it's the same thing, that we may be material devotees, but third class devotees, but we should make progress. we should rise from the third class position to at least the second class. In the second class position, the devotee can see four principles in the devotional line, namely the personality of Godhead, his devotees, the ignorant, and the envious. One has to raise himself to at least this stage of second class devotee and thus become eligible to know the absolute truth. So Prabhupada is saying at least we should come to this Madhyam platform, second class devotee platform. We may be third class. When we are beginning, we are third class devotees, but we need to come at least to the second class devotee where we can understand, oh, there is a God, he's the object of my worship. Then these are the devotees, I should be friendly to them. These are the innocent people, I should be merciful to them. I should teach them about God. And these are the atheists, so let me stay away from them. Let me stay away from them. The envious people, let me stay away. So we are advised to come. The preacher at least has to come to the second class platform. Why? Because being merciful to the innocent, that is the position we have to come, because there's so many innocent people who don't know about God, and we need to talk to them about God. So we'll stop here for today. Are there any questions or comments? If no, then we'll stop here. Shri Caitanya Caritamrita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.